There is an undeniable truth. Not everyone will respect you. You may be a good person, work hard, and treat others with sincerity, yet you will still encounter those who belittle you, interrupt you, or even openly undermine your worth. We cannot change everyone, but we can change how we respond. And that is the core strength of Stoicism, mastering our inner world despite the chaos around us. In today's video, I will share 8 powerful Stoic principles that will help you uphold your value, break free from negativity, and reclaim your inner freedom. 1. Respect yourself. If you don't expect others to. Self-respect is not just an abstract concept. It is the foundation of every action, thought, and the way we allow others to treat us. Stoicism teaches that a person's worth does not come from external validation, but from how they perceive themselves. If you don't see yourself as valuable, if you don't set standards for how others should treat you, then don't be surprised when the world responds with indifference or even disrespect. Everything begins within, in how you speak to yourself, in the decisions you make, and in what you choose to tolerate or reject. We often hear that to earn respect, we must first respect others. But the truth is, if you don't respect yourself, no one can do it for you. Think of the people you admire. Do they allow themselves to be treated poorly? Do they lower their standards just to please others? The answer is no. Those with strong self-respect never let others define their worth. They establish clear boundaries. They feel no obligation to explain every decision. And most importantly, they do not bow to those who belittle them. When you truly respect yourself, you no longer feel the need to seek external validation. You confidently walk away from toxic relationships, disregard meaningless criticism, and have the strength to follow your own path. One of the clearest signs of a lack of self-respect is constantly apologizing for things that don't require an apology. Have you ever caught yourself saying sorry when you weren't at fault? When someone was unreasonable, yet you still tried to appease them? When someone interrupted you, but instead of asserting your point, you fell silent for fear of offending them? These are the moments when you unconsciously diminish your own worth. When you consistently yield unnecessarily, you teach others that they can disrespect you without consequences. Starting today, pay attention to these situations and change your response. Instead of apologizing, say firmly, "I wasn't finished speaking." Instead of accepting unfair treatment, stand up for yourself. A fundamental Stoic principle is to never trade self-respect for the temporary approval of others. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time worrying about what others think of you. Instead, focus on how you see yourself." If you constantly seek validation from the outside, you will always live in insecurity. One day, someone praises you and you feel elated. The next day, someone criticizes you and your confidence crumbles. That is the life of someone controlled by the opinions of others, not of someone who masters themselves. Those who truly respect themselves are not swayed by fleeting remarks. They know their worth. They set their own standards, and they do not need anyone's approval. A powerful way to cultivate self-respect is to pay attention to how you treat yourself every day. Do you take care of your body? Do you invest time in learning and growth? Are you willing to say no to things that do not align with your values? These small actions demonstrate self-respect far more than words ever could. If you constantly neglect your health, fail to set boundaries with those who take advantage of you, or torment yourself over past mistakes, you are undermining your own self-worth. A Stoic would never allow this. They live with discipline, with clarity about their core values, and most importantly, They do not let external forces shake their inner confidence. Respecting yourself also means never staying in an environment that does not deserve you. You are under no obligation to maintain a toxic relationship, endure a job that drains you, or remain in a group that continually belittles you. When you realize that you have the power to choose, an immense sense of relief follows. You do not have to stay somewhere out of fear of change. A Stoic understands that true freedom comes from within, and if a situation no longer aligns with your values, you can walk away without hesitation. Finally, the most important thing to remember is this: when you respect yourself, the world will learn to do the same. If you treat yourself as someone of worth, those around you will recognize it. You will no longer have to fight for acknowledgement or seek approval from those who do not deserve your efforts. Instead, you will naturally attract people who align with you, people who respect you for who you are, not for how much you try to please them. And when that happens, you will realize that self-respect is not just a choice. It is a necessity for living a life of meaning. 2. Set clear boundaries. Teach others how to treat you. Boundaries are not walls that separate you from the world. They are clear lines that show others how to treat you. When you fail to set boundaries, you allow others to define your worth. They will overstep, disrespect you, impose their opinions and behaviors upon you, simply because they don't know or don't care where your limits lie. But the fault is not theirs alone. If you don't make it clear what is acceptable and what is not, you become complicit in allowing them to cross those lines. Stoicism emphasizes that while we cannot control the actions of others, we have full control over how we respond and what we permit. Consider common situations in daily life. At work, do colleagues constantly pile extra tasks on you without acknowledging your effort? If you don't push back from the start, they will continue doing so, assuming you are okay with it. In personal relationships, is there someone who repeatedly hurts you with words or actions, yet you remain silent out of fear of upsetting them? If you don't speak up, you are silently telling them that their behavior is acceptable. Without boundaries, you become easy to manipulate, easy to exploit, and over time, you lose your self-respect. Setting boundaries does not mean becoming rigid or hostile. You don't have to yell or argue with you. The key is firmness and clarity. Speak directly but calmly. I'm not finished speaking. Please allow me to complete my thought. When someone keeps handing you more work without respecting your time, respond with certainty. I can't take this on. I already have too many commitments. Don't fear rejection. Don't fear judgment. A person who respects themselves does not allow others to overrun them so easily. Those who have disrespected you may react negatively when you begin setting boundaries because they are used to controlling you. They may complain, get angry, or even try to make you feel guilty. But this only proves that establishing boundaries is more necessary than ever. If someone truly respects you, they will understand that boundaries are not selfish. They are a form of self-preservation. And most importantly, when you set boundaries, you send a powerful message. I have worth, and I will not allow anyone to diminish it. One crucial thing to remember is that boundaries only matter if you enforce them. If you set limits but fail to stand by them, you undermine your own credibility. Be consistent. When you declare that you will not tolerate a certain behavior, but then let it slide, you teach others that your boundaries are not worth respecting. This may feel difficult at first, especially if you're not used to saying no, but it is a skill you must develop. Stoicism teaches that willpower is not innate. It is built through repeated action. Every time you uphold your boundaries, You strengthen your self-respect, confidence, and ability to control your own life. In a world where many seek to take more than they deserve, those who fail to set boundaries will always be at a disadvantage. If you allow others to decide what is acceptable, they will always prioritize their own interests over yours. But when you establish firm boundaries, you shape how the world treats you. You show people that you are not easily manipulated, that you will not sacrifice your peace just to appease others. Most importantly, you affirm to yourself that you are worthy of respect. Remember, setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness. It is a declaration of self-respect. If you do not stand up for your own worth, no one else will do it for you. And if someone is upset by your boundaries, then perhaps they never truly respected you in the first place. 3. Limit your interactions. Not everyone deserves a place in your life. We often believe we are obligated to maintain every relationship simply because it has existed for a long time. But the truth is, not everyone deserves a place in your life. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot control the behavior of others, we have full control over whom we allow into our world, who you spend time with, who you engage in conversation with, and who you grant influence over your emotions and decisions. All of these shape your life more than you realize. Think about it. How many times have you walked away from an interaction feeling drained, insecure, or overwhelmed by negativity? If this happens often, it is a clear sign that you need to reassess their presence in your life. There are people who may not openly insult you, yet their presence brings negativity. They might be chronic complainers, always lamenting the unfairness of life, but never taking action to change it. They might be the skeptics who ridicule your ambitions, making you feel small and incapable. Or they might be emotional manipulators who constantly put you in situations where you must cater to their needs while disregarding your own. If you do not take control of these influences, they will gradually drain your energy and spirit until you feel like you have nothing left to give. Limiting contact with negative individuals does not mean cutting them off abruptly or creating unnecessary conflict. Instead, do it with intention and intelligence. If they are co-workers you cannot completely avoid, minimize interactions to the bare essentials. Speak only when necessary. Remain courteous, but do not let them pull you into their cycle of negativity. If they are friends or family members, start by gradually reducing the frequency of your interactions, steering conversations in a different direction, and maintaining distance when needed. One crucial thing to remember: you do not have to feel guilty for setting boundaries. Protecting your mental energy is not selfish. It is a necessary act of preserving your inner peace. The Stoics believed that we are the average of the people we spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with individuals who are disciplined, purposeful, and possess a positive mindset, you will naturally absorb those qualities. But if you constantly engage with negative people who squander their time and energy on meaningless distractions, you will eventually find yourself caught in the same cycle. That is why those who truly understand their own value never waste time on relationships that do not foster growth. They do not let social obligation or habit keep them tethered to toxic connections. The most important thing to remember is that you have the right to choose who enters your life. You are under no obligation to maintain a relationship simply because of its history. If someone disrespects you, fails to support you, or continuously drags you down, you have every right to limit your interactions with them. This is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-preservation. And when you do this, you will realize that you have more space for the people who truly matter, those who inspire you and help you become the best version of yourself. 4. Don't take it personally. They are not insulting you. They are revealing themselves. One of the most important lessons in Stoicism is to never take insults personally. When someone is rude, dismissive, or openly belittles you, our instinctive reaction is to feel hurt. We ask ourselves, what did I do wrong? Or, why are they treating me this way? But the truth is, people's actions are rarely about you. They are a reflection of who they are. An arrogant person may be masking deep insecurity. A chronic critic may be seeking validation they never received. Someone who insults you isn't doing so because you lack worth, but because they lack control over their own emotions and reactions. Stoics understand that while you cannot control what others say or do, you have absolute control over how you respond. When someone tries to provoke you with negativity, they expect a reaction. They want to see you angry, to see you lose composure, to see you react exactly as they hope. But what happens if you remain calm, smile, and refuse to be affected? They become confused, unsettled, even defeated, because their attempt to control you has failed. This is the true power of self-mastery. Think about someone who insulted you in the past. Looking back, do you truly believe their words defined you? Or do you now see that they were simply projecting their own frustrations, jealousy, or insecurities? Once you realize this, you'll feel a sense of relief. You will understand that insults only have power if you grant them power. Marcus Aurelius once said, "We are not harmed by what happens, but by how we perceive it." This means that when someone offends you, you have a choice: to let it wound you, or to see it for what it is, just noise carried away by the wind. A practical way to apply this principle is to always ask yourself, does this truly matter? When someone says something negative about you, pause for a moment and think, does this affect my life? Does it change who I am? 99% of the time, the answer will be no. Other people's negative words do not diminish your worth, do not alter your character, and do not determine your fate. They are merely words, and you have the power to choose whether or not they occupy space in your mind. The next important principle is to never seek validation from others. When you feel hurt by someone's words, ask yourself, why am I allowing them to define my value? A Stoic does not grant others control over their emotions. They do not let praise inflate their ego, nor do they allow criticism to break them. They understand that a person's worth is not dictated by external opinions, but by their own actions and mindset. If you are certain of your value, if you understand your purpose, then negative words lose all significance. Finally, remember that how others treat you is a reflection of them, not you. A decent person will conduct themselves with dignity, even if they do not like you. A mature individual will manage their emotions rather than lashing out at others. If someone insults you, it does not mean you deserve such treatment. It simply means they lack the maturity to behave with respect. Once you realize this, you will stop letting negative words affect you. You will learn to keep your mind steady, focus on what truly matters, and move forward without allowing toxic individuals to drag you down. That is the true strength of a Stoic. 5. Build a support network. Surround yourself with those who inspire you. We cannot control how others treat us, but we can control whom we choose to surround ourselves with. One of the most fundamental Stoic principles is that your environment directly shapes your thoughts, actions, and growth. If you want to be strong, disciplined, and resolute, you need to be around people who embody those qualities. If you surround yourself with negative individuals, those who complain, lack direction, or resist change, you will inevitably be pulled into their current. But if you stay close to those who embrace growth, lifelong learning, and more self-improvement, you will gradually absorb those traits yourself. Stoics understand that you are the average of the people you spend the most time with. Take a moment to evaluate those around you. Do they inspire you? Do they push you to become the best version of yourself? Or do they weigh you down with negativity, criticism, and complacency? If you want to progress, you must build a strong support network, one that challenges you to grow rather than holds you back. Seek out individuals with a disciplined and proactive mindset. Those who refuse to settle for mediocrity, who do not waste their days complaining about life, but instead take action to change it. They could be mentors, friends, or even influential figures you have never met, but can learn from through books, videos, or seminars. When you surround yourself with such people, your thinking shifts, your motivation increases, and most importantly, you begin to realize you are capable of far more than you once believed. A crucial part of building a support network is knowing when to let go of relationships that no longer serve you. Not everyone is meant to stay in your life forever, and not everyone deserves a place in it just because they have been there for a long time. If someone consistently makes you feel small, fills you with self-doubt, or drains your energy whenever you interact with them, it is a sign that you need to create distance. This does not mean you have to resent them. It simply means you are choosing to invest your time in those who genuinely add value to your life. Stoics never allow fleeting emotions to dictate important life decisions, and choosing their environment is no exception. They do not feel guilty for saying no to toxic relationships. They understand that time and energy are invaluable resources, and they must be spent wisely. While you cannot control the world, you can control whom you choose to walk alongside. Remember, your support network determines how you respond to life's challenges. When you face failure, will those around you encourage you to keep going? Or will they say, "I told you so"? When you have a bold idea, will they help you bring it to life? Or will they dismiss it with, "That's too hard, don't even try"? The people you surround yourself with can be the deciding factor between achieving your goals or abandoning them. So be deliberate about the relationships you invest in. Spend time with those who make you better, and do not hesitate to create distance from those who no longer align with your path. Building a strong support network not only fuels your growth, but also preserves your inner peace. When you are surrounded by like-minded individuals, you become less affected by negativity, less shaken by adversity, and most importantly, more motivated to keep moving forward, no matter how difficult life becomes. That is the true power of a positive community. It helps you become the strongest version of yourself. 6. Avoid power struggles. Calmness is the greatest victory. In life, there are moments when we feel dragged into pointless battles with others. It could be a heated argument with a colleague, a situation where someone deliberately provokes you, or a relationship where control becomes the central conflict. In those moments, our natural instinct is to prove we are right, to win, or at the very least, to avoid being disrespected. But through the lens of Stoicism, we realize that true victory does not come from controlling others. It comes from mastering ourselves. When you remain calm, you not only avoid unnecessary conflicts, but also demonstrate your greatest inner strength. People who disrespect you often do not care about reason or truth. They care about manipulating your emotions. They want you to lose control, to react in anger, to respond exactly as they hope, because that gives them a sense of power. If you fall into this trap, if you let anger dictate your actions, You are giving them exactly what they want. But if you remain composed and in control of your emotions, you have already won. When you do not react as they expect, they lose their grip. They become confused, powerless, and more importantly, they realize you are not easily manipulated. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means that no matter what others do, they cannot control you unless you allow them to. If someone insults you, that is their issue, not yours. If someone tries to provoke you, it is their weakness, not your burden. Once you understand this, you will no longer feel compelled to engage in unnecessary power struggles. You will begin to see situations more objectively, free from emotional influence, and make decisions from a place of true strength. Imagine a past argument you had with someone. If you let anger take control, did you truly feel better afterward? Did you actually achieve what you wanted? Or did you simply make the situation worse? Stoics understand that when we are ruled by emotion, we are prone to making mistakes. But if you can take a step back, observe the situation with clarity, and avoid getting caught in a storm of negative emotions, you gain a significant advantage. You will not be manipulated. You will not be trapped in meaningless conflicts. And most importantly, you will not sacrifice your inner peace over something unworthy of your attention. A practical way to train this discipline is to learn how to pause before reacting. When someone says or does something that upsets you, instead of responding immediately, take a deep breath and ask yourself, does this truly matter? Will my reaction change anything? 90% of the time, you will realize that silence and composure are the most powerful responses. When you remain calm in tense situations, you not only protect your self-respect, but also send a clear message that you are not easily shaken. And when you consistently maintain this state of mind, those who seek to manipulate or control you will eventually realize they have no power over you. 7. Respond with silence. The strongest reaction is no reaction. Silence is often mistaken for weakness, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful tools a person can wield. Stoics believe that not every situation requires a response, and sometimes the most powerful reaction is none at all. When someone insults you, provokes you, or tries to drag you into a pointless argument, they are not truly interested in truth or reason. What they seek is a reaction. They want to see you angry, to see you lose control, or at the very least, to know that their words affected you. But if you simply smile, remain silent, and carry on with your life, you deprive them of the only thing they wanted, your attention and your response. Silence is not just a way to maintain your composure. It is also a means of shifting power back to you. When you choose not to react, you are saying, I will not let this affect me. I am not controlled by emotions or by others. That is a statement far more powerful than any argument. Stoics understand that self-respect does not need to be proven through eloquent words or heated debates. A calm gaze, an unshaken demeanor in the face of provocation. These are the true expressions of self-mastery. Think back to past situations where someone tried to pull you into a meaningless dispute. Perhaps you reacted, argued, or allowed their words to anger you. But in the end, did those arguments truly benefit you? Or did they only drain your time, energy, and leave you feeling exhausted? Remember, when someone insults or tries to hurt you with words, it does not define your worth. It only reveals their character. Silence shows that you are not controlled by them, that you refuse to let them dictate your mental state. One way to develop this skill is by practicing intentional stillness. When someone offends you, instead of reacting immediately, pause for a moment and ask yourself, do I need to respond? Do I really want to engage in this battle? If the answer is no, remain silent, observe, and continue with what you were doing. This does not mean you must endure or submit. It simply means you are choosing your battles wisely. Not every word deserves a response, and not every person is worthy of your attention. Silence is also a way to show others that you are not easily shaken. If someone repeatedly insults you, but receives no reaction, they will eventually lose their grip. They will realize that you are not easily provoked, and that the respect you have for yourself outweighs any negativity they throw your way. This may cause them to stop, or at the very least, they will understand that they cannot manipulate your emotions as they do with others. Stoics do not seek victory through words. They seek victory through their own unshakable calm. When you control your reactions, when you refuse to let others easily disturb your mind, you possess a strength that no one can take from you. And that is why, in many cases, silence is not just a powerful weapon. It is the ultimate form of freedom. 8. When necessary, walk away. Not every battle is worth fighting. There is a truth many people struggle to accept. Not every battle is worth staying for. We grow up believing that perseverance, struggle, and relentless effort are virtues, but few teach us that sometimes walking away is a strength. Stoics understand that staying in a toxic situation is not resilience. It is self-destruction. If an environment constantly harms you, if a relationship brings only pain and loss, if a situation causes you to lose your sense of self, then leaving is not failure. Leaving is self-preservation. We often cling to things that no longer serve us out of fear of change. We worry about what others will think if we walk away. We fear loneliness, starting over, or the nagging doubt that perhaps we haven't tried hard enough. But ask yourself, how many times have you already tried? How many times have you compromised, endured, convinced yourself that things would improve only for nothing to change? That is the sign that it is time to leave. Stoics do not cling to what no longer serves them. They do not let emotions dictate their decisions. They assess reality, evaluate situations with objectivity, and make the best choices for their peace of mind and their life. Think about a job that drains you every day, a place where your abilities are undervalued. If you constantly feel suffocated, if each passing day is merely an act of endurance, do you really need to stay? Stoics believe that time and energy are precious resources, and you have the right to decide where to invest them. If a job no longer adds value to your life, if it takes more than it gives, you have every right to walk away and seek another path. The same applies to relationships. Not everyone is meant to walk with you to the end. Some people are only meant to be in your life for a season. And once their role is complete, you do not need to hold on to them. If someone does not respect you, does not bring you peace, or does not help you grow, there is no reason to continue giving them space in your life. Walking away does not mean you are afraid or weak. It means you understand your worth. It means you no longer accept what does not align with your value. It means you have the courage to choose something better, even if that means walking alone. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Give up your attachment to what does not serve your soul. If it costs you your peace, let it go." This does not mean abandoning every challenge at the first sign of difficulty. It means knowing the difference between a battle worth fighting and one that is no longer worth your effort. When you walk away, you do not just free yourself from a negative situation. You create space for something better to enter. You open the door to a better job, healthier relationships, and most importantly, the realization that you have control over your own life. And when you take ownership of your choice, when you no longer fear letting go, you will see that walking away is not a loss. It is the first step toward truly finding yourself. Stoicism is not just an ancient philosophy. It is a practical tool that can be applied to everyday life. When faced with disrespect, instead of feeling hurt or seeking retaliation, I have learned to observe and control my own reactions. I have realized that respect is not something to be begged for or demanded. It comes from how we treat ourselves and how we allow others to treat us. This means I no longer react impulsively to insults. Instead, I choose to remain calm and unbothered by things that do not deserve my attention. Most importantly, I understand that self-respect is the foundation of everything. I no longer seek validation from others because I know my own worth. I set clear boundaries, reject what does not align with my values, and no longer fear walking away from what no longer deserves my presence. This not only brings me a more peaceful life, but also makes me stronger, no longer swayed by negativity or meaningless battles. And I believe that when we live with this mindset, we don't just protect ourselves. We create a life where we are in control rather than victims of circumstance. If you find these principles useful, leave a comment about how you have applied or plan to apply Stoicism in your life. If you want to continue cultivating self-discipline, maintaining composure in adversity, and developing a stronger mindset, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss future content. And don't forget to share this video with anyone who might need to hear this message. Master yourself, because that is the greatest power you can possess. See you in the next video.